Hello, today we will look at the types of draft players. We can divide the players in the draft into three types. These are, players who are already fully trained and ready to play, young school talents with great potential, and the third type is a kind of middle option between a school talent and a player who is already ready to play, with great potential, but not yet ready to play. Let's call him a youth team player. Already ready to play. These players have a very high strength rate and very low potential. Most often, one or in very rare cases, they can occur with a potential of 2 or 3. The pluses of this type are that they have strongly upgraded skills, a lot of experience and are 2 or even 3 times cheaper than the average salary of such a player on the market. Cons, they almost do not improve anymore, because they have no potential. Strength rate does not quite correspond to the player's goodness. For example, this draft player has such skills. And as we can see, most skills are trained 20 to 50% on top. Since a player without potential will not train those skills to improve that skill, it turns out that there are unnecessary training points that do not benefit the player at all, but only increase the strength rate and the desired salary. Of course, if the skill is above 85% and has good internal potential, then it is still possible to improve that skill. School talents. This type of player is very young. From 14 to 17 years old. The advantages are that you can train the player yourself according to your needs or vision, because they have high potential. They meet the status of a scout player, and even if they are hired from school to the youth team, their salary is compensated there. Cons. You need to keep in mind that the age is shown for this season, and the drafts take place on the last day of the season, which means that if you call up a player, there will be a new season the next day and the player will be a year older, so you need to pay attention to height. Youth team player. This type is the worst, and I would not recommend choosing such players. They are already older than school players, so they have already trained skills, have good potential, but the biggest minus is that they have as much experience as a school player. Skills can be trained, but experience will not be regained. Well, unless the player has a lot of health and will play until the age of 42. Somewhere in the lower leagues, that experience may not be a key factor, but in the higher leagues it can be difficult with such a player. How to choose a good player? I suggest doing this: take the player you need, or just the best remaining option, or do not take anything. If you don't know the player's skills or inner potential, you can predict them by looking at this table. The most important skills will have the highest inner potential, while the less important ones will have a significantly negative inner potential. And the last thing you can pay attention to is the player's health. A player with less than 80% has a chance of getting injured during the season. Happy drafts and bye.